I can't remember who told me this. I have an idea. It was a guy named Tim. Hey Tim, I hope you're listening to this. Who we there was an Apple poker game that was going around for a long time. Like weekly, there was a small set of engineers who would
Oh, I
play
remember
poker.
that. I like
And
that game.
and it was, I mean, it was just phenomenal, right? I mean, you could go in and you know, I went in as just a complete noob and you know, was just trying to learn how to play. And this guy Tim, you know, a friend of mine, he you know, he gave me this bit of advice, and I've actually found myself telling this to my kids now recently as well, which is it's almost secondary what your decision is. The most important thing is what are the decisions that you've actually made that led you to making that eventual decision. Now in this context, we were talking about poker, right? And it was whether, you know, should you call or should you fold or should you raise, right? I mean, those are ultimately sort of the three decisions you can make on any given poker hand. And what Tim's point was that, you know, for any hand that you're playing, you could those are the three choices that you have to make. And so because of that, it's not just important what you decided to do, but the most important thing really is why you decided to do what you decided to do. Right. And so really you need to think about what are the things that, you know, what's the evaluation process that you went through to actually come up with the decision that you made. And that's the thing that you need to hone and you need to refine, because ultimately that's going to be the thing that helps you make the right decisions when it comes down to fold, call, or raise, right? Is going to be, you know, ultimately it's three decisions. But while you're looking at your cards and while you're evaluating, you know, the probabilities of another card falling, or looking around the table and thinking about the players that you're playing against and, you know, what they might have and what they might not have, what's your evaluation process? And in my mind, that was always the most important thing was, you know, once that kind of sunk into my thick skull, you know, with poker, it really came back to, I mean, that's just sort of a life lesson in a lot of ways is, you know,
It's almost exactly the same.
Process?
The triage that you're talking about there is actually the same way that you deal with triage with, you know, various development problems with bugs.
Exactly. I mean, it applies to so many different things.
Yeah.
And I really, you know, this is a nugget that I hope, if you're not thinking about things already in these ways, I hope that, you know, that you and anybody who's listening to this thinks about it as well, because you know, it's just such an important thing to think about. Is not just what is it's not enough to make the right decisions, right? Because at any moment you could, you know, an idiot could, you know, could predict heads or tails landing a certain way, and you know, it's not very probable that they may be able to predict heads or tails, you know, 5 times in a row correctly, but it is possible that they could. So really, what is the evaluation? what are the steps that you actually took that led you to believing that you should go a certain way when you did? And making that be the thing that you iterate on, and making that be the thing that you think really hard about, and making it so that, you know, when you're second guessing whether a bug is important or not, well, what is the evaluation that took place to lead you to believe that a bug could be deferred, or that and no, absolutely, actually, this is just a P2, but we really need to fix this. Before we work on any P1s, you really need to sit down and fix this. You know, what's the evaluation process that goes into that? And making sure that you iterate and refine that and make that as good as possible, because that's going to be the thing that really serves you later. You know, far more than actually making the right decision or not. That's going to fall out of of that evaluation process. But really, that's the thing that you need to, you know, is that engine, that decision engine that you're working on, and making sure that thing is working very well.
I really love the notion that making the right decisions is secondary compared to the thought process that is going on behind those decisions.
Yes.
Well,
because, you know, yeah.
Because a lot of times you're not going to make the right decisions anyway.
I think it's great. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to make the right decisions every time. And the thing is knowing that, you know, it's living with imperfection. and it's living with, this is why on some of these, these first products that come out that we worked on, I'm so proud of them, not because they were perfect, but we didn't let, and this goes back to the hack comment, we didn't let perfection get in the way of solving the problem and making a delightful experience for users, and creating something that they wanted to love and do, to hold. And that's what I think is really admirable about these projects and these teams, is they made those right calls.
Right. And I think they're still making the right calls, right? I mean, I think
that's exactly the transition I wanted to make, is that's why when I said in the beginning, everybody needs to calm the fuck down. This is just the same process going over and over and over and over and over again. That's all it is.